Hey, all right. Team is here. All right, cool. Hey, everyone. Assalamualaikum. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Assalamualaikum.
Yep. Assalamualaikum.
All right, cool. Glad we're starting on time today. I got quite a packed lesson today, so I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and get right into it. All right. Screen. Okay, cool. So just to start off, I just wanted to mention, I think you guys saw stuff, but basically, I created. You guys know that I already have like a Google Drive. You guys have all of you guys come to this folder already, the project management folder? Yeah. Has anybody not? I'm sorry if anybody has not. Just mention if you haven't. Yeah. Has anybody not?
I haven't yet, City.
Okay.
I haven't yet.
Okay. Cool.
The email, but I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
No worries. Okay. Bilal, you have, right? Hey, Bilal, we can't see you and we can't hear you. FYI. All right. So, anyways, so inside this folder, we got all the classes, and you could always check out the slides there. I'm not having audio there. Instead, I have the new channel that I have called it's called Promofly, and if you go there, you'll be able to see all of the classes. I'm just gonna have this private little channel for us, and you could always go and see the videos here. I sent you guys the link. I highly recommend, now that we're going to start getting really technical and really crazy, speaking really fast, going through 15 minutes really fast. I don't want you guys to miss anything. So definitely, if you try to review stuff if you can, because it's a 15-minute class, so you could review it anytime the next day, hopefully before the class, and that's the idea. All right, so definitely go to this YouTube channel and review the classes before the next class. You could even double the speed if you have to. So 15 minutes will become 7 minutes. It's a no-brainer. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. Okay. Cool. All right. So the sprint. So now we're going to start getting right into the sprint. We're going to talk about what the sprint is from an agile perspective, what that means, and so forth. So the sprint is, so in the Scrum team, if you guys remember this diagram, you have like the backlog, you have sprint planning meetings, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, when the team is ready to start working, they do this thing called the sprint, which is typically 1 to 4 weeks. And in this sprint, it's like they're running basically, you know, the developers are developing really fast. And after they're done the sprint, they have something to show. So we're going to get into that. So before the sprint, there is this concept called you're planning what's going to go into the sprint. So this is just an example of a tool called AHA. This is like one of the many tools out there, but in this tool you kind of see these sticky notes, and these sticky notes kind of have like lists on them, and essentially the lists are whatever they're kind of like the ideas that the product owner has. So the idea is that in sprint planning, the project manager is going to meet with the product owner, and you're going to ask the product owner, hey, what user stories, what sticky notes here are we going to have the team work on? So in a sprint, there's a sprint capacity. Obviously, they can't work on everything. They can only work on a select number. So there's a sprint capacity, which is like basically the number of stories that the engineers are willing to work on. So let's say, for example, the maximum, for example, is like 5 stories. then you're going to make sure that then the product owner only chooses 5. He has to choose whatever 5 he wants. He gets to choose it, but he can't. Your job is to make sure he's not overburdening the engineers. Again, you don't have to know what the stories are all about. All you have to know is that, hey, look, if this is the sprint capacity, they could only put, you could only give that much work to the engineers, or they're going to get burnt out and they're not going to finish the work. Cool.
Okay.
Give me a thumbs up. Just throw a thumbs up in your videos if you guys understand what I'm talking about.
Ali, I don't know what's wrong with my video, but yeah,
No
thumbs
worries.
up on my side too.
Okay, no worries. Cool. So during the sprint, and don't forget all the stuff I'm going to be going into. I'm just teaching general concepts. Later on, I'm going to deep dive into each one of these things. So don't get worried if you don't understand fully. So during the sprint, there's typically something called like a Kanban board. Kanban's like a Japanese term. It's called a Kanban board. You can imagine now this is like this is kind of like it's almost like a digital whiteboard with the sticky notes where you have like the to-dos, you have like what's in progress, and you have like what's complete. That's generally the 3 columns. It could be obviously more or less complicated than that, but the general idea is like, you know, what's already like, what's in the to-do, what's doing. See to-do on the very top, doing what people are doing, and then whatever is done. And every single day you're going to meet for 15 minutes for a meeting called a stand-up meeting, the sprint stand-up or the scrum stand-up meeting. That's an essential meeting that you lead. You might have 3 different teams, and each one of those teams is meeting for 15 minutes, and that's it. And in that 15 minutes, you get status updates to find out what the progress is. Maybe they're in progress, but now they're blocked. They don't know what to do, and they need your help. So you're taking notes and stuff, and then after the 15 minutes, you go and you help whoever you have to help get unblocked. So Trello time. So now we're going to actually shift into something called Trello. Trello is a very lightweight, easy tool. Some people use it. It's not the most popular tool, but it's really good for teaching. So I'm going to actually pull open a Trello board, and I'm gonna later on I'm gonna be sharing this board with you guys, so that way you guys can mess around with it too. It's a free web app to basically get organized. Obviously, you don't have to use this for development. You could use this for your kids' homework. You could use this for your own, you know, chores at home that you got to do. You could use it for a billion things. You could share it with teams and stuff. But I'm going to give you an idea of the Kanban idea. So there's 2 things I'm going to share here. One is the idea of a Scrum board, and one is the idea of a Kanban board. So the Scrum board, this is, we're going to talk about basically what happens before the sprint now. So we're going to do before the sprint, then we'll talk about during the sprint. So before the sprint. So before the sprint, there's something called a product backlog, where the product owner's coming up with a bunch of ideas, right? It might have like 1,000 ideas in this column. Then there's this idea of sprints. So these are all 2-week sprints, and there'll be a sprint planning meeting where you and the product owner are going to meet, and you're going to ask them, okay, what work do you want to go into sprint 1? And you'll literally pull them in. So I'm going to actually allow one of you guys to control. Actually, I'll control the screen, but we're gonna choose an idea together. Let's say we'll pretend that we're gonna create an app, a really basic app for.
Me too.
For what?
Did you get that, Ali?
No. What did you say?
It's freezing a lot. We're missing stuff that you're saying. I thought it was me because I'm driving. But and they're having it too. Other people are having it too.
Huh. Okay. Can you see my screen?
We can only see
No.
you. I don't know if we're supposed to see slides.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slides at all.
Aha. Okay. I wasn't sharing the right slide the whole time. You guys should have told me, man.
I wasn't sure.
That
All
was
right.
correct. It took me a while.
Oh, snap. Okay. Well, all right. Well, anyways, hopefully you guys will visualize that. Now you guys can see, right? Everybody can see?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Anyways, I'll go into a live example and it's all going to make sense. Let's pretend we all have kids. Let's pretend that we're going to make an app for tracking your kids. So everybody unmute yourself, everybody. And together, I'm just going to pretend that you guys, I'm the project manager and you guys are all product owners. So I'm going to come up to you guys and be like, okay, guys, okay, product owners, what do you want to put into the backlog? Meaning, what features should we have on this app to track your kids? So just throw out like tons of ideas at me. I'm going to start like literally throwing them in. So you want to, it's an iPhone app to track your kids. What should you have on it?
Like a radius they can't go out of, and if they do it, it notifies you.
Oh, yep.
Makes sense.
See you tomorrow.
When you put in
Lifetime,
when you put in
lifetime camera.
sorry, go ahead.
Lifetime camera feed where you can see them.
Yep.
Somewhere where you can put in your home address, and once they reach home, you'll get like a message.
Okay. Cool. Keep going.
Maybe like an emergency button or something if there's a problem or an issue to contact authorities.
Awesome. Okay. Yep. Keep going. Anything else?
Alerts.
Yep. I would say like a Google map where you could see your kids, right? In real time.
Does it need to add others, like you know, different
Oh,
people,
the
like your
people.
other parent?
Kids. Yep. Okay, I think these are good. These are great. So now imagine, imagine this is a product backlog. So in once a week, you meet with the product owner and he has all these ideas. So what ends up happening is the second meeting that you do, at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, manage a meeting called a grooming call. A grooming call, what you're going to do is you're going to actually go through the product backlog, and you're actually going to start working on the requirements. So we'll just pick one for kicks, right? Let's say, you know, what's one that might be easy to talk about? When you put a home address in, once you reach home, you get a message. Okay, cool. So let's just pretend that we're going to open this one up, right? So we bust this open. Let's just open this up. Sorry. Isn't it working with me? Okay, there. So, so for this sticky note, we would write, the product owner would write a whole bunch of requirements, right? So I'll be talking about this later, but the idea is like, imagine like, for example, home address, like, okay, a form to enter address in, you know, address can be zip code only, or, you know, address and state, you know, stuff like that. Like, you know, error message should be this, and, you know, success would show would add an alert message or something like that. You get the gist though, right? Like basically
Right.
it's a whole bunch of like requirements that will make this feature like a feature. And then you would ask the designer, hey, go and make the design. And they would go ahead and they would make the design, they would attach it, and there you go. And basically that's called a grooming call. So product backlog, grooming call, those are two meetings that you would have. Based on that, you'd have the third meeting, which is sprint planning, which is where you would decide, okay, we're going to throw, the product owner will say, okay, I want to do this one in sprint 1, this one in sprint 2, this one in sprint 3, this one here, and this one here, this one here, and this one here. So you, the product manager, the project manager is going to look at this and see how much effort each one of these are, because the engineers are going to look at each one of these cards, and they're going to give points. And we'll talk about points later, but they're going to give points, and you're going to say each sprint can only have 20 points. So you're going to count the points, literally 5 points, 10 points, 3 points. And if it's more than 20, you're going to say, hey, look, it's more than 20. You got to take this thing out. It's too many, or you got to push it somewhere else. So that's what happens in the sprint planning. And finally, when the sprint planning is done, you're ready to go into the actual sprint. Now, I know I'm kind of over time now, so I'm going to actually end officially now. And what we'll do is in the next class on Monday, I'm actually going to talk about the sprint itself, and we'll go into that. Each one of these steps, I'm going to actually spend 1 or 2, maybe even 3 days talking about it. Right now, I'm giving you the whole overview picture, so you have an idea of like, hey, look, if I'm Amina and I'm working my first job for 2 weeks, what are all the meetings? So I'm giving you the whole overarching meeting idea of all the meetings that you have. Cool. So I'm having trouble with my Wi-Fi. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on today. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you were breaking up a lot. We didn't hear the last end of it.
Oh man, I don't know what's going on. I have a really fast internet connection too. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. But anyways, did you guys? Okay, so I don't know what you guys caught, but essentially what I was saying was, on Monday I'm gonna go through what happens in a sprint. Today I went through what happened before a sprint, which is those meetings. I'm just giving you an overview of the meeting. So I was saying, like, for example, if it's your first day, first week, first 2 weeks, you should know all the meetings that would go on during those 2 weeks.
Okay.
After I give that overview, then I'm going to deep dive into what each of these meetings are. So like I said, today we talked about product backlog, all the ideas, grooming, which is going through each one of the stories and actually getting the requirements and designs for them. The product owner does that. You just set up the meetings. And then finally sprint planning, which is like where you're kind of like the boss, because you're like, hey, look, product owner guy, you only have 20 points to choose from. So whatever tasks that are going to happen, you can only put 20 points into the sprint. So I'm sorry, I kind of went over today. I'm officially ending now. So those that have to drop can go ahead and drop. Please review the stuff. I'm going to send the slides. Hopefully it'll make more sense. Please, everybody, review the slides when you have a chance. Review the videos and the slides this weekend, even if you just put it on double the speed. And on Monday, we'll pick it up. We'll pick up where we left off. I'll stay on for anybody that has questions. So I'll continue on for whoever wants to stay on until 5:30.
Ali, quick,
Go ahead, Mikhail.
you first. You go ahead.
Thank you so much. So the points, that point system, I looked it up online. And so who decides this? We do, or did the product owners do this?
That's a really, really good question. So I'm gonna go into like.
Okay, that you didn't. Okay, I was just wondering if that was.
No. I didn't even cover that. I just kind of like briefly touched it. But when you meet with, you're gonna have this thing called a grooming meeting, and at the grooming meeting, the engineers show up. They have to show up. You show up, and the product owner shows up. So those are the 3 groups. Each group is kind of fighting for themselves, fighting for a different cause. The product owner is trying to shove as much work that they can at the engineers. The engineers are like trying to do as little work as possible, right?
Right.
And they don't want to do that much work. And you're the one that's kind of like, even though you don't know what's going on, the one thing you know is that, hey, look, in this like container, right, in this water bottle container, you could only fit this many points, right?
Right.
This many like tasks or sticky notes or features can only go in 2 weeks. How do you know that? You don't know the details. Obviously, there's no way you can know, hey, look, like, you're not a developer, but you do know this thing. And I'll teach you guys this later. There's a way on a tool to find out historically how many points your team has been doing every single sprint. So then the tool will just tell you straight up and down, like, hey, look, it could only this team does 15 points. Another team might have a genius developer on it, and they do like 40 points. It varies from team to team.
Okay.
The tool will tell you how much, and then you just say, hey, look, the tool says 14 points. You can't, 14 points it is,
Okay.
Yeah, and then literally, the product owner will tell you, okay, Amina, please drag this one into the sprint and drag that one. So you literally, like, they're like cards, like I was showing you before.
Right.
You're just gonna literally like just kind of grab the cards and just kind of drag them over to like the different sprints,
Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And so in these, oh yeah, go ahead. Your turn, Mika. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I think you answered my question.
Okay, good. Okay. So in these sprints, when you put them in the sprints, does it go to like someone specific? Like, how do you know who's doing what then?
So you don't choose that.
Okay.
Because once your job is to make sure that the product, the stuff product owner wants to get in is in the sprint, and the sprint has only enough capacity that your team can handle.
Okay.
So now when the sprint kicks off, I'll talk about it on Monday. When the sprint kicks off on Monday morning, the engineers will meet, and you're going to show them the sprint. You're going to show them, hey, look, guys, this is what you guys got to do. How do you want to divide it up? And they'll tell you, oh, I'm going to, I'll do this one, and I'll do that one. So you'll go to each one, and you'll literally, there's a little name thing. You'll just put your name in, and that's it.
Okay.
And then you're just, you have a little dashboard, a really cool, that dashboard that you saw, and it shows everybody how much work that they're doing and where, you don't even have to ask them. You literally could pull it up on your phone or pull it up on the computer, and you'll see exactly how much work everyone's doing.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions? Can you guys give me like a thumbs up if this is all making sense, or if this is kind of like a little complicated? And then like, don't feel shy. Like maybe like do this if like you feel like you're kind of getting it, but
no, I get it.
Okay. Kelsey, Kamala, would you say like, hey, Kelsey? Yeah, Mikhail, you're getting it. It's cool so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have one. I was just wondering, like, so then you can tell from this tool how many to like assign to do. If it doesn't get done correctly, you're the person to blame? Like, because you assign how much, like.
So the product owner always, there's either they're gonna get blamed or the engineers get blamed. You never get blamed except for one thing: if you fail to communicate. So, for example, if it's Tuesday and there's an engineer and he says, Kamala, I'm really stuck. I have no idea what this task is asking me to do. It's like really poorly written, and I don't know what this is saying. If you at that moment don't like try to help that engineer out and it drags on, then the blame will be on you, because they'll be like, well, Kamala never, followed up. So as long as you're constantly just like, okay, I know you need a designer, I'll just set up a meeting at 3:00 and you and the designer meet. So you're just constantly like setting up meetings and having people talk.
Okay.
And you're looking at each person, you're like, are you good? Are you good? You guys are good? Cool. If you're not good, who do you need? How can I help you? And they'll be like, well, I need a meeting with XYZ. You'll be like, cool. And then you go on Google Calendar, and you'll set up the meeting, and bada bing, bada bang.
Do you have to be part of the meeting because you set it up, or?
You don't have to. It's good to be part of it, because you could, you don't have to.
Okay.
You're just like connecting people, linking people. Engineers are really difficult non-people persons, right? They'll be in the corner on their desk typing away, and sometimes it's just a matter of like you kind of going over to their desk and being like, hey, how's it going? And them kind of like looking at you nervously, and you gaining their trust and being like, it's okay, like if you got an issue, just you're there to help them, not to punish them. As long as they know that you're not going to beat them with a stick and rat them out, they'll become your friend, and then they'll let you know what they have problems with, and there'll be like a really good synergy. Kelsey, you look like you have a question.
I guess this is kind of like the same thing that she asked, if if we get in trouble, but they have their own boss, right? Like I'm not their boss, right? So
Exactly.
I don't have to be like, hurry up and do your work,
Well,
or am I the
so-
boss?
so
of
you're not
them?
the boss. Like you're not gonna,
Okay.
you can't fire them or hire them. There's no dotted line to you. But their boss, you spend more time with them than their boss ever will. Like you're the
Okay.
one, you spend every single day, day in and day out with these people.
So you're like their friend and like the good guy?
You're
kind
kind
of?
of like the good guy. You're kind of like the friend, but at the same time, you're kind of like that. You're like kind of like a mom to them, where you're just like, you know, if they're slipping or slacking, you got to be like, hey, look, you know, it's Wednesday, you haven't done jack, you know, and
Okay.
everything's due on Friday. Like, are you even gonna get this done? And they might just be real with you and be like, you know what, I'm so sorry. You know, I had a wedding to go to. I was drunk last night. I didn't do my work. You know, and then you'll either cut them some slack, or you'll just, you know, at the end of the day, if something is going to be missing, you have to make sure that you at least let the product owner know, because he might be really relying on that work because sometimes what happens is that sprint is a prerequisite for the next sprint. For example, you can't do a shopping cart unless you have a homepage, right? You can't do like you can't do like a search without the data. So there's like back end work. You got to have a database before you could even have like the front end, which has like all the searching stuff. So they slip out the database, the whole project gets slipped out by like another week or another 2 weeks. And whenever something slips, that's one of the biggest roles you have. Anything slips at any given time, you got to let the executives know. And as long as they know, they're happy. But if they don't know, and last minute they find out, you know, like, oh dang, like Kelsey, like why didn't you tell me that this whole thing was slipping? And then you're in a stressful situation because you didn't communicate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so that means there is accountability. Obviously, there's some sort of accountability. Not that you will be blamed, but definitely that you are the guiding hand in this, and that you need to be on top of everything.
Yes.
Okay.
So that schedule, that's why you have a daily stand-up meeting. So every single day for 15 minutes, you're just getting status updates. And something slips, you know, you're all over it. You might have an executive escalation where you have a VP literally breathing down your neck and, you know, asking you for updates. And you might be like, you know, as long as you were taking notes every day, you're straight.
Mm.
And all of you guys are organized. If you're an organized person, you're straight. Like I myself, I have ADD. I'm not, you know, organized. Like I'm the worst at this. So, but if you're organized and you got your stuff together, like it's gonna be such an easy job for you.
Now, when you're having these meetings, do you do you have your computer with you where you're like recording everything, or is it something like you just jot down? And you go,
Either way, so
you
there's
know.
some teams literally they have a policy where no one's allowed to bring a computer. So
Okay.
it's literally a stand up, meaning because you want to enforce 15 minutes, right? So everybody's standing. You know, you might bring them a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts or like a bunch of Timbits. Everybody loves you. You guys are standing. You might give them like a balloon to hold, you know, or like a little.
Sorry, we didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I really want to know what you're going to say.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? You know, I'm gonna put my video off. I'm hoping that maybe that'll help. Can you guys hear me now? Is it clear? Can you hear me now? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm definitely not gonna do this again. But yeah. So basically, what was your question?
Taking notes on a computer and bringing it, and you said sometimes they don't use a computer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, you could take it on computer. Sometimes you could take notes. But stand-ups are meant to be like you could bring your notepad really quick and you're just standing up. You don't have to like, you know. But if you're in Kamala in your situation, you might be work from home. So you're not meeting anybody physically. So you're literally doing exactly what we're doing, which is you're on a Zoom call and you have another screen and you got like your notepad or your, Word document or whatever, and you're just taking notes.
Or you could be recording, right? We could record.
Yeah, exactly. You could record it. You know what I mean? Like,
and then go back.
Yeah, you could record it.
And document. Okay.
Yep. That's a good.
And then, are you emailing these meetings to the, like to a daily, or are we waiting like the weekly? What do you call it? The weekly.
Like that, like when the sprint ends. Yeah, no. You do it. It's a daily. Like you'll most likely have your daily notes, and you might just have it in a folder so any executive can go.
Anyone could for it. Okay.
At Verizon, we have our project managers send every single day. They send the notes out.
Okay.
So it's up to you. It really depends company to company.
And all this is like all the notes and all the things that we find important. We're documenting in this on the that board.
Yeah. So there's every company does it differently. Sometimes it's literally Google Notes. Sometimes it's Meadow. It's like literally you're just doing it on like Microsoft Word. Sometimes they actually have an official Wikipedia. Like there's this Wikipedia called Confluence. It's really famous, and companies use it where it's like super official. It looks like Wikipedia actually, and you'll have like a project like page and like a section for notes and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever it is, it's super easy. Like if it's online, like that part is going to be super duper easy for you to pick up.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of being able to work on it, like practice on that the screen you showed us today.
Oh, so yeah, straight up. Yeah, that's my plan. My plan is I'm going to get you guys for each one of the tools. After I go through all of this overview this week and next week, hopefully by the end of next week, you guys will know all of the various different meetings. Then we're going to deep dive into every single meeting. So we're going to go into like product backlog. I'm going to walk through like what is a user story? What does it actually look like? So each one of those things. And when we're finally done that, my first course will be done. You'll have the general understanding. And the next course is the Scrum course. So that's when I'm going to be teaming you up. I might be like, all right, Kamala and Amina, today you guys are going to be in a meeting. And Zoom actually has a feature called breakouts. So literally you two, it'll just be you two in a breakout video session. And I'll pair you and I'll say, Kamala, today you're the product owner. Amina, you're the project manager. And you guys are going to do a grooming session. And then, you literally together, you guys are going to do it. And I actually have one or two projects. So there's a really awesome project to let you two know that I'm working on with Dr. Shadi, who's, Dr. Shadi over at NBSC. This is a legitimate project I'm working on where I'm creating a seerah for kids. I'm doing like a really cool stories for the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm doing it with like instrumental music and like sound effects and the whole bit. And the idea is that there's going to be like a whole series on it. So it's going to be really fun and engaging 2-minute clips so parents could play like during their commute. This is a really good project where I could actually get like actual real good help from you guys project managing it, and we could use a lot of these tools. It'll be fun. You guys could obviously, and you guys got the barakah of like contributing to something like this too, inshallah, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I definitely hands-on. I definitely want you guys to get really hands-on with this stuff.
All right.
Good. Mashallah.
All right, then, inshallah. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll send you guys the slides. Please check out the slides because I know it got screwed up today. So when you have a chance, just run through the slides, and I'll catch you guys on Monday, inshallah.
Okay. So.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.